Hello and welcome. My name is Ethan and this is Insomniac Woodcraft. We're going to get right into this build. As with any good project, this started as an idea that I sketched out and used the drawing to plan all the dimensions I'd be needing to cut. If you haven't seen my last video, you should check that one out. The top for the end table I'm building was my first live edge epoxy project, so I dedicated an entire video to that. This video is part 2, building the legs and lower shelf. The first thing I needed to do was mill down some lumber. I started on the joiner, but then I remembered something I had heard before. The quickest way to joint a board is by making it shorter. I go through the milling process and rip my pieces down on the table saw and start cutting the lengths I'm aiming for. I'll be gluing different parts together to make the legs a little thicker, but I didn't quite have enough from this lumber after cutting around the knots. Moments like these are perfect for building new skills. Sure, I could have milled down another board, but instead I took the opportunity to practice a half-lap joint. This added some time waiting for that glue to dry, but I was going to leave the legs to dry overnight anyway. Back to the planer to get all of these to the same dimensions. This is where the project started to become stressful. A lot of angles to cut. I also realized right about now that I miscalculated something and don't have enough to cut my top support pieces. I'll come back to that later, but for now it's time to start assembling the legs. This dowel jig worked out great for this. By the way, I'll have Amazon affiliate links in the description for some of the tools you'll see me using to include this dowel jig. If you're going to buy something from Amazon, even if it's not one of the tools I'm using, you can use one of my links to take you to Amazon and then search for anything. This won't cost you any more, but it does give me just a small kickback, and that's one way to support this channel. And let's face it, at some point, you'll be buying something on Amazon anyway. I did a dry fit of all of these joints and even prepared some blocks to have flat surfaces for clamping. But as you can see, this was a difficult process. I thought I was well prepared, but clearly I was not. There's a second leg that gets the same assembly. You'd think I would have learned from the first one. Instead, I figured that was a fluke and repeated everything with the exact same results. This might remind you of the definition of the word insanity. Lesson learned, it all worked out in the end. If you think this design looks like something you might want to build, I am planning to put together a plan with all the dimensions. This is an original design that I came up with, so let me know what you think about it in the comments. The idea of adding a shelf was something I hadn't fully decided on at the beginning, but I knew it would add a lot of strength to the legs. I cut into the edges of the shelf to match up with the legs, dry fit and held everything together with clamps and drilled through the leg into the shelf to add a dowel to each side. I tried using the dowel jig upside down to make sure I was drilling straight, but I wasn't able to drill very far like that, so I eyeballed it. This glue up was a balancing act. I added tension to just about every piece and measured at least 12 places and adjusted clamps to make sure the legs would be parallel and the shelf stayed level. To be honest, at this point I was kind of proud of myself for getting all of these pieces together. Hopefully I don't screw up anything now. Balancing the top on the legs to mark the joints, drilling more dowel holes in the legs, and finally working with the top. Walnut plugs to fill the dowel holes in the legs. And now, gluing the top on. I was hoping I could add just enough pressure to the top to squeeze the joint together by clamping to the workbench. And then I had a thought. I hope I'm not putting too much pressure on the leg. I really should have known better on this one. And at this point, my glue was going to dry if I didn't get this done soon. I went on to my other plan for this step and did a tricky dance with clamps and blocks of wood. And right about then, my camera overheated and turned itself off. So did it work? Yes, it did. A lot of sanding later, I added a 45-degree chamfer around the top edge and cleaned it all up before applying finish. Here are the final results. This was an ambitious project for myself, but I learned a lot along the way. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe. If this channel was a butterfly, it'd still be a caterpillar, so any support is really, really appreciated. And don't forget to watch my last video of my first epoxy pour if you haven't seen that yet.